What's up, everyone? There's been a growing buzz lately about CBDCs and how they could impact cryptocurrencies. Will they compete or coexist? Which one will be better? In this video, we're going to look at the differences between CBDCs and cryptocurrencies, explore how each might evolve, and ultimately ask ourselves, will CBDCs kill crypto or inspire more crypto innovation? Let's dig in. Before we get into the specifics, let me start by saying this video is not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. So what are CBDCs? CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. It's basically a digital version of a country's fiat currency that's issued and regulated by a central bank. You can think of it as digital cash from a bank. For example, China has already launched its own CBDC called the digital yuan. And the United States is exploring the possibility of a US digital dollar. Now it's important to note that unlike cryptocurrencies, which we'll talk about in a minute, CBDCs are centralized, meaning they are issued and controlled by the government. This allows the government to have complete control over the currency and to monitor all transactions, right? So what are cryptocurrencies then? Cryptocurrencies are also digital currencies, but instead of being centralized, meaning they are not controlled by any government or institution. Instead, they are run by a distributed network of computers that maintain a public record of all transactions. Now the most popular cryptocurrency is Bitcoin, which was created in 2009. Other popular options include Ethereum, Cardano, and Binance Coin, among many others. Now, cryptocurrencies are often seen as a way to disrupt traditional finance, and they offer some unique features that CBDCs do not, such as anonymity or pseudonymity and censorship resistance. I won't go too much into that now, but we'll touch upon those ideas later. Alright, so now that we know what each of these is, let's take a closer look at the key differences between them. So let's start with control. CBDCs are centralized, which means that they are controlled by the government and all transactions are recorded and monitored by them. Cryptocurrencies, on the other hand, are decentralized, meaning that no single entity has control over them. Instead, they are run by a network of computers, which makes it difficult for any one entity to control them. Next up, we got privacy. With CBDCs, the government has access to all transaction records and therefore has the ability to monitor citizens' spending habits. With cryptocurrencies, however, transactions are often anonymous or pseudonymous, meaning that people can transact without revealing their identity. Now, there are some cryptocurrencies, such as Monero or Zcash, that really emphasize privacy and anonymity. And if we have time later, I'll do a separate video covering those too. But for now, just know that crypto offers more privacy than CBDCs. Moving on to purpose. CBDCs are intended to modernize financial systems and make it easier for people to transact. They are generally not intended to disrupt the existing financial system. Cryptocurrencies, however, were created with the goal of disrupting traditional finance and giving people more control over their money. And finally, we got settlement speed. Both CBDCs and cryptocurrencies can facilitate instant transactions, but CBDCs are typically faster because they are centralized, right? So now that we know the differences, let's talk about how CBDCs could affect crypto. Okay. On one hand, CBDCs could help crypto because they would familiarize the public with digital currencies and potentially lead to increased adoption. On the other hand, CBDCs could hurt crypto because governments may prefer their own digital currencies and may impose regulations or restrictions on decentralized cryptos. So let's take a real-world example to see how this might work. China's digital yuan has been in the news a lot lately. It's already tested out in 4 major cities, including Shenzhen. If you zoom into a map of China and look at where Shenzhen is located, you'll see that it's right next to Hong Kong, a special administrative region of China. So China has been testing out the digital yuan in major cities. As of February 2022, 174 million digital wallets had been opened and $87 billion worth of transactions had been processed. So China is making some progress with their digital currency. Alright, so let's explore 2 possible scenarios for the future. In the first scenario, CBDCs and cryptocurrencies coexist. In this scenario, CBDCs are used for everyday transactions, while cryptocurrencies are used for longer-term investments or international payments. This would allow people to enjoy the benefits of both types of currencies. CBDCs would provide a stable, easy-to-use currency for everyday transactions, while cryptocurrencies would provide a more volatile but potentially more rewarding option for longer-term investments or international payments. This coexistence would also give people more choice and control over how they manage their finances. They could use CBDCs for everyday transactions and then use cryptocurrencies for larger purchases or international payments. This could also lead to increased competition between CBDCs and cryptocurrencies, which could benefit consumers. Both types of currencies would have to compete for users, which could lead to more innovation and better products. In the second scenario, CBDCs end up competing with cryptocurrencies. In this scenario, governments crack down on cryptocurrencies in favor of their own digital currencies. This could lead to higher transaction costs, more regulations, or even a ban on cryptocurrencies. If this happens, cryptocurrencies could become less popular and eventually die off. In this scenario, the government would have complete control over the currency and could use that control to crack down on any activity it doesn't like. This could lead to a loss of privacy and freedom for citizens. People would no longer be able to use cryptocurrencies to transact without the government knowing about it. This could also lead to censorship, meaning the government could block transactions that it doesn't like. Alright, so now let's summarize the pros and cons of each. Now remember, this is very simplified, and a lot of things could happen that we aren't thinking of right now. We're just spitballing. CBDCs have more pros and cons than crypto. But overall, the pros seem to outweigh the cons, at least for now. Some of the pros include a reduction in transaction costs, increased access to financial services, and more efficient government programs. Some of the cons include a loss of privacy, a higher risk of fraud, and a greater risk of government overreach. Crypto has fewer pros and cons, but overall, the cons seem to outweigh the pros, at least for now. Some of the pros include more control for users, increased privacy, and more efficient transactions. Some of the cons include more volatility, a greater risk of fraud, and a lack of regulation. Alright, so now let's get to the big question. Which scenario do you think is more likely to happen? Will CBDCs and cryptocurrencies coexist, or will CBDCs kill crypto? I personally think that the most likely outcome is that CBDCs and cryptocurrencies will coexist. I think that the benefits of digital currencies are too great for governments to ignore, and I don't think that governments are quite ready to give up the control that they have over their currencies. I also think that the benefits of cryptocurrencies are too great for people to ignore, and I don't think that people are quite ready to give up the control that they have over their finances. However, I do think that cryptocurrencies will continue to evolve and innovate in order to stay ahead of government regulations. Let me know what you think. Do you think CBDCs will help cryptocurrencies or hurt them? Comment below. Also, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Alright, so that's it for this video. We covered a lot of ground and hopefully you learned something new. At the end of the day, the future of money is looking more digital, and it's up to us to decide what role CBDCs and cryptocurrencies will play in that future. Will CBDCs kill crypto or inspire more crypto innovation? That's the big question. And it's a question that only time will answer. But one thing for sure, the battle for the future of money has just begun as governments and innovators continue to shape the digital currency world. What's your take on all this? Do you think CBDCs will be a positive or negative development? How about cryptocurrencies? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on all things fintech and crypto. Until next time, happy investing.